Hello. Sorry, I'm a little bit late here, guys. I really did not mean to do that. I was literally just sitting here reading up some of the information on the detective's report on the Colorado Bureau of Investigation. So it's interesting here because I've gone ahead to look at the Google Maps to show where they had gone to process the vehicles, and I just got a little bit lost in this here. So I did want to bring all of this to your attention. Our last live, we did the conversations with Nicole Kessinger and, well, lies, if you will. This is, okay, where are we at here? So this is S56 is what we left off on. So 2018-273-S56 was Nicole Kessinger's, like her written out statements. Okay. So these two photos are what sort of followed. And it was a conversation that looks to be, well, it is from Nicole Kessinger, but it looks as if there's some problems between her and, I believe this to be Charlotte that they're talking about. So she's asking the officer if he's been able to get a hold of her, and literally states, I don't need to know what she says. I just want to know when you have reached her so I can try to sort things out with our friendship if possible. So I don't know. I felt like that was a little bit odd. This is the second message that was screenshotted here. So she doesn't have class till 2 today, and she's at home, likely solo. And then she's inquiring any success. I don't know who to contact about this in your department. I believe that's in regards to her counseling and stuff. So really just nothing, in all honesty. That's why I wanted to show you that, because that's what came out of the whole number 7. I've already downloaded the next few, and we only have a few left to go, guys. I'm excited to start the next new series, though, and I'm proud that I'm the only channel that has all of the Weld County case files on my channel. If you're ever wanting to go through all of this information and you don't want to download it for yourselves, you can go to all the live shows of Chris Watts and catch all of the info. So this was just a particular piece of information about the Amber Pearson white. Well, no, she's white. Anyways, this was just about Facebook groups that were dropping her personal information, and she felt like that was harassment and whatnot. So we jump from S57 to S58, and this is what was in this one. So again, like I said, really nothing super important. Get rid of S57. Get rid of S58 because it's nothing. This is what I'm talking about, though, you guys. It's really unfortunate that we get to look through a bunch of crap that really means nothing. Let's go into the Colorado Bureau of Investigation Forensics report here. Here it states, on Tuesday, August 14th, 2018, at approximately 2300 hours, Colorado Bureau of Investigation crime report analyst D. Yoakum, and he was contacted by CBI crime scene manager David Maloney, requested to respond to 2825 Saratoga Trail in Frederick, Colorado at 0600 hours on Wednesday, August 15th to assist with the processing of a residence in which 3 family members had been reported missing by their families and friends. After the Saratoga Trail scene was processed, I was notified at 1630 hours on August 15th by crime scene specialist Maloney to respond to the remote location in the Roggen, Colorado, to process the scene where the missing persons had been allegedly taken to and disposed of. So on Monday, August 20th, Mr. Maloney requested that the officer attend or respond to 241 Oak Street in Frederick, Colorado, to assist with the processing of two vehicles that belonged to the suspects in this case, or suspect in this case. The vehicles potentially had been used in transporting the deceased bodies of the three victims from the residence. So upon the arrival at the residence at 05:45 hours, I met with Frederick Police Department Detective Baumhover and officers Walji and Perez. According to Detective Baumhover, the house had been searched with the consent of the owner, Chris Watts, on at least 3 different occasions. The searches were conducted by members of the Frederick Police Department and included canine searches from cadaver dogs. Detective Baumhover also stated the owner, husband, and father of the missing woman and children, Chris Watts, had given consent to collect any and all evidence that police could use to locate his missing family. Chris Watts also stated to Detective Baumhover the home could be processed with forensic methods to obtain evidence relating to his family's disappearance. Detective Baumhover and I agreed that I would photograph the residence, utilize Blue Star latent bloodstain reagent on areas alerted on by the canines, and then assist with the collection of any evidence located in the residence. It was agreed upon that CBI would not collect the evidence. Frederick Police Department would collect and package all evidence located in the search. So Detective Baumhover, according to him, Chris Watts had been living in and accessing the home prior to and since the disappearance of his family on Monday. The neighborhood and home is located within a newer residential area consisting of large single-family homes. 2825 Saratoga Trail is a 2-story single-family residence located on the south side of the street with the front doors facing north towards Saratoga Trail. The home has 5 bedrooms and 4 bathrooms with office space, an unfinished basement, and a 3-car garage. Upon entering the front door, there's a living room and a dining room. To the left is a staircase that leads up to the upstairs bedrooms, laundry, and loft area. Near the staircase that leads upstairs is a hallway that runs to the east side of the house. The hallway provides access to the basement stairs, a bathroom, utility, garbage, entrance, and an office. On the south side of the residence, so interesting, right? That hallway provides access to the basement stairs. It's very possible that Nicole could have been upstairs and very easily made it downstairs and out the back door and out the back window or whatever, Regardless, on the south side of the residence is a full kitchen, eating area, and additional family room. A door on the south side of the kitchen opens to the backyard of the home. The upstairs portion of the home consists of 3 bedrooms, a playroom, laundry room, and a central living television room. The home is in like-new condition with no visible signs of damage and was clean and organized. A walk through the home showed no sign of forced entry at all. Basement and first floor windows, no doors appeared to have been forced or damaged. Photos were taken of the scene. Blue Star latent blood reagent was applied to all bathroom fixtures, tub, shower, sink, toilet, which resulted in no signs of chemical luminescence of the blood showing. Blue Star was also applied at the locations where the searching canines had alerted. So there's proof that there were some alerts in that home. Mudroom by the garage and at the top of the basement stairs in the hallway to the mudroom. No signs of chemical luminescence were observed in these areas as well. Prior to testing, positive and negative presumptive tests were done with expected results. So, and then we never heard anything about those results, did we? Because the case got closed so fast, it didn't even have a chance to finish going through the testing process. Anyways, carrying on. While assisting with the search of the home, I observed in the kitchen trash bed sheets and pillowcases. The sheets and pillowcases were grayish in color with numerous small light blue, light green, lavender color squares on the sheets. The bedding was buried beneath other items of trash. Further examination showed the sheet to be a flat sheet and 3 matching pillowcases. Stains were observed on the sheets and pillowcases. The bedding from the kitchen trash was collected by Frederick Police Department. Throughout the home, several electronic items and clothing were located and collected by the Frederick Police Department. CBI cleared the scene on Saratoga Trail at 10:45 hours on August 15th, 2018. No evidence was collected by CBI. Interesting, right? All right. Upon arriving at the Anadarko well site property of Rogan, Colorado at 1820 hour on Wednesday, August 15th, 2018, several members of the Frederick and Firestone Police Department were on scene. CBI agent investigators M. Saylor and G. Zettner were present along with several employees of the Anadarko Company. I learned that CBI and Frederick Police Department investigators had utilized the GPS tracking system within Chris Watts's work truck to identify the routes Watts had taken the morning the victims had been reported missing. GPS tracking identified the truck driven by Watts to be traveled to the well site we were currently at. The Anadarko Company, as well as the owner of the Survey Ranch, have provided written consent for law enforcement to search the property identified by the GPS tracking system in the truck owned by Anadarko. Agent Saylor and Zentner, I'm sorry if I'm not saying that correctly, informed me that members of the Firestone Police Department had utilized a drone to fly over the Anadarko property in Rogan. While the drone was in use, a video feed from the drone showed a sheet on the ground within the fenced area of the Anadarko leased land. The sheet had been compared to the photo I had sent to Agent Saylor earlier in the day when the sheets had been discovered in the kitchen trash at the home on Saratoga Trail. According to the investigators on scene, the sheets' colors and patterns were consistent with one another. Investigators on scene also stated that from the video taken from the drone, an area void of vegetation had been located and appeared to have recently been disturbed. Anadarko employees stated there was no plausible reason for the disturbance on the land. The disturbed area shared common characteristics consistent with the possible clandestine gravesite. It was decided that once the warrant had been signed for the property, CBI would begin the collection of the evidence located around the scene and then begin the excavation of the possible gravesite. CBI would then conduct more extensive intrusive to 2000 hours. Anadarko property is leased property within the which is a 35,000 acre cattle ranch located in southeastern Weld County, Colorado. The leased property, known as an oil tank field, Survey 319, GPS coordinates 40.21624374-104.36667, due north of I-76, the 3 mile north of the town of Rogan, is used for the extradition, collection, and storage of raw crude oil from local oil wells and pumps. The Anadarko well site was located approximately 9 miles north of Rogan, Colorado, along dirt roads and dirt 2-track trails. The site itself is a 3 to 4 acre property fenced with barbed wire, and secured by a locked gate on the west end. The topography and geofeatures consist of sandy, dry soil with sparse native vegetation, dry pastures, rangeland for tanks, pumping equipment, and agricultural infrastructure are visible in any direction for several miles. Within the fenced area were 2 large tanks, approximately 20 feet in height and 12 feet in diameter. Each tank is equipped to hold approximately 400 barrels of crude oil, which is 16,800 gallons. Along within the site was a well head, pumping facilities, waste collection, and venting pressurization equipment. So sorry if I'm missing to say hi to you guys, but I'm clearly reading this out to you. So hi to everybody that's joining. And if you are happy to hang out, hit that like button. I really appreciate it. Okay, carrying right along. Within the site, numerous safety precautions and procedures are in place due to the toxic vapors and the volatility of the crude oil and gas. So day one on August 15th, 2018 at the site, numerous vehicles were parked within the fenced perimeter due to diminishing daylight. Auxiliary lighting was brought in to the scene by Anadarko. Located to the south and east of the wellhead was an area that appeared to have been recently excavated and filled back in. The area appeared to be approximately 8 feet by 14 feet in diameter. Living foliage was observed partially buried on and under the uneven ground. Once the search warrant for the property had been confirmed to have been signed, a more thorough search of the property was done. Items of evidence located were collected and packaged by myself and Officer Schroeder, or Investigator Schroeder. And then photos were taken of the scene with and without markers. Measurements were taken through the use of global positioning GPS, polar coordinates, and a laser measuring device. Blue Star latent blood reagent was applied to the thief hatch to each tank after positive and negative presumptive tests of the reagent had been done with expected results. No chemical luminescence was observed on each tank or the catwalk connecting the tanks. On the north edge of the excavated plot was a rusted rake head. The rake head had been placed with the handle attachment portion buried into the ground. To the east of the plot was a wooden tool handle, as well as a piece of metal that was consistent with connecting a rake head to a rake handle. On the property were 2 black plastic bags. One bag was located to the west of the excavated plot, while the other bag was located to the south. The south of the black plastic bag was a bed sheet. The sheet was a fitted sheet consistent with the same pattern and color as the sheet I observed in the kitchen trash at the home on Saratoga Trail. As the search of the site continued, I observed several strands of suspected hair attached to the interior flange of the top hatch, which we know belonged to the girls, the thief hatch, on the easternmost crude oil storage tank. After the collection of the visible evidence, which I actually believe that was Bella's hair, Mr. Maloney and I began the excavation of the suspected gravesite, approximately 9 inches below the surface grade. Mr. Maloney and I located an adult female victim believed to be Shanann Watts. The victim was in a fetal position with her knees pulled up to her chest at the bottom of the grave and her feet directed up towards the top of the grave. Her chest and face primarily was facing down into the ground while her back was oriented up. Her head was towards the west while her feet was towards the east. Her left arm was extended to the east alongside of her head, and the victim was wearing a blue pair of underwear and a light-colored shirt. The depth of the grave when the body was removed was approximately 27 inches in depth. The Weld County coroner took possession of the victim at 020 hours on Thursday, August 16th. All items of evidence collected at the Anadarko site on Wednesday, August 15th were transferred to Detective Baumhofer at 039 hours on Thursday, August 16th. CBI remained on the scene throughout the night as part of scene security. So day 2, images were taken through and the use of the drone that were taken prior to the arrival of all investigators and support personnel to the scene at approximately 0730 hours. At approximately 1000 hours on Thursday, August 16th, the process on unloading the contents of the tanks in search of 2 juvenile victims and their evidence began. Anadarko employees and their subcontractors began the process of unloading the emptying the tanks. This consisted of draining the tanks through a gravity-fed line at the base of each tank into a collection tray. The tray was then emptied through the 4-inch hose with an attached 3/8-inch strainer into a vacuum system attached to a tanker truck. Once the tanker truck had been filled and no items of evidence had been identified during the course of draining the tank and filling the truck was released with its contents from the scene. Once the tanks were emptied, entry to the tanks for body recovery could only be done by specially trained and certified personnel. Entry and recovery was done by the Colorado State Patrol Hazardous Materials Team through a side hatch located near the bottom of the side of the tank. Entry into the tank could only be done through the use of self-contained breathing apparatus and full hazardous materials, fire protection gear. Atmospheric conditions as well as volatile flashpoints were monitored by Anadarko employees as well as the CSP hazardous material team. Victims, all right, upon the completion of emptying the east tank, a juvenile female victim believed to be Celeste Watts was found buried in crude oil sludge at the bottom of the east tank. The victim was recovered by CSP and was wearing an orange/pink colored shirt, shorts, and a diaper with no shoes or socks. After the recovery of the victim from the east tank, the west tank was drained under the same procedural guidelines. Again, found in the bottom of the tank in the crude oil sludge was the second juvenile victim believed to be Bella Watts. The victim was wearing a pink multicolored shirt and shorts, no shoes or socks. The tanks were both searched for additional evidence by CSP and no additional evidence was located. The waste and overflow tank directly to the east of both tanks was visibly searched for additional evidence. No evidence was identified or observed. Absolutely heartless. I don't even understand why. I don't think any of us ever will, to be honest. But the search beyond the scene. So a line search was conducted by Mr. Maloney using law enforcement personnel within the fenced area of the Anadarko scene, and lines were searched. Line searchers were also conducted outside of the fenced Anadarko leased property in the areas to the north and west of the tanks. During this search, possible portion of the rake was located. All items of evidence collected at the Anadarko site on Thursday, August 16th, were transferred to Detective Baumhover at 18:17 hours on Thursday, August 16th, 2018. CBI cleared the scene at the Anadarko site at 18:40 hours on the 16th of August. On Tuesday, the 21st, 2018, at 1,000 hours, myself and Kevin Henson arrived at 245 Oak Street in Frederick, Colorado, to process and execute a search warrant for the two vehicles which possibly had been used to transport the deceased victims in the case. Present at the impound lot was Detective Baumhover, Officer Welge from Frederick Police Department, and after a brief discussion, it was decided that CBI would photograph, collect, and package all evidence located. CBI would also use adhesive-based rollers and collect any possible hairs, fibers, or other trace evidence from the Ford truck in an attempt to determine any recent possible occupants of the vehicle. The vehicles, Ford truck and Lexus 350, were being stored at the B&L Repair and Tire located at 245 Oak Street, Frederick, Colorado. The Lexus SUV was at an indoor impound lot west of the property at 247 3rd Street, Frederick, Colorado. Both properties are under the same ownership and control. A 6-foot chain link fence surrounds the property to the west of the building that faces Oak Street. Access and entry to the lot is controlled by B&L Repair and Tire through the office on the Oak Street side, and as well as located a locked gate on the 3rd Street side. The building located on 3rd Street is locked and accessed only with assistance from B&L Repair and Tire. And the impound facility is a contracted vehicle impound lot with the Frederick Police Department. Okay, so the gray 2015 Ford F-250 Colorado truck, the vehicle was parked outside or outdoors in the locked and secure impound lot to the west of 245 Oak Street, along with several other vehicles. The truck had been exposed to rain showers earlier in the week. But I mean, we knew that he couldn't get anything out of the bed anyways. Like that was all full with like Anadarko stuff, right? what was more important was what had happened inside. But we never got that information either, right? So damn frustrating. Anyways, the truck was in good condition with no obvious signs of damage. The doors were locked and the window glass was not broken. The truck was an alternative fuel truck powered by compressed natural gas. The doors to the truck had been secured with evidence tape, and upon inspection, the tape was sealed. The tape was sealed and intact and not broken. In the bed of the truck were affixed toolboxes and fuel tanks, hose implements, as well as miscellaneous hand tools, which included a round point shovel, a square point shovel, and a sickle, were identified and collected. Also within the bed of the truck was partially full gas can and fire extinguisher. Located in the front passenger compartment of the truck, a roll of black plastic bags was observed and collected from the front passenger's side floorboard. The front driver's seat and front passenger seat were covered with canvas seat covers. From the steering wheel, a possible DNA swab was collected. In the rear seat were 2 large plastic bins that contained miscellaneous work materials, safety equipment, personal items, maps, paperwork. A pair of black rubber boots were located on the floor behind the front passenger seat. Beneath the rear seat were additional miscellaneous tools. Adhesive lifts were collected from the rear seating area and floor. Located in the front passenger side door panel was a green disposable cigarette lighter. It just was, it brings on the question, did he even actually transport anybody in the truck or what? Anyway, the vehicle, 2 white 2016 Lexus, was parked indoors at the large warehouse located at 247 3rd Street, along with several other vehicles. The vehicle was observed to be in good shape with no visible defects or serious damage. The SUV was unlocked. However, the doors, windows, trunk, and hood had been sealed with evidence seals and were observed to be intact and unbroken. The interior of the vehicle was relatively clean and uncluttered. In the rear seat passenger area were 2 car seats affixed and secured in place. Girls' clothing and shoes were noted on the floor, along with small toys and a stuffed animal. In the rear cargo area of the vehicle were numerous zippered, empty duffel-style bags. Also located in the cargo area were several items of men's clothing, which included a shirt, socks, underwear, jeans, and a belt. A pair of newer brown leather boots and was also observed and collected. Also located in the cargo area were several items of men's, next paragraph, my bad. Medical paperwork, as well as paperwork collected from the front center console identifying dates and times of travel from Denver International Airport, was also collected. All items of evidence collected at the impound facility on Tuesday, August 21st, were transferred to Detective Baumhover at 13:10 hours on Tuesday, August 21st. CBI cleared the scene at the Frederick impound lot at 1330 hours on August 21st, 2018. The scene was photographed by CBI using a digital camera. Drone images were captured at the beginning and end of day 2 at the Anadarko site, which we never saw any of those either. Measurements were taken by CBI through drone software, photogrammetry, as well as through the use of the laser distance meter. So they had scene photos from Saratoga Trail, scene photos from Anadarko site, photos of suspected hair in the thief hatch, the drone photos, and vehicle photos. They had all of this stuff, which, they picked and chose what they released, right? So we didn't even get to see all of these pictures of the plastic bags and stuff like that. Certain people got to see those things. If you were somebody who worked on the inside, yeah, I can see why there were people popping in and asking questions about things that weren't actually released from Weld County. which means there were people that were strewing around online that were working from the inside and had seen more photos than what was released to the public. It's unfortunate that they have to be so snake-like, you know? If you're somebody who has seen other information, why not just share that instead of just making everybody look stupid when it's Weld County that's deciding what the hell they're releasing in the first place, right? So it's not like we had a choice. We sure as hell wanted to see it all, but we didn't get to. But if you worked on the inside, you sure got to, which I'm sure is monitored. I mean, I'm not saying like just anybody can go ahead and log in and start whatever, right? Because you have to, it has to be accounted for as to why you're even doing that. So, all right, this piece of evidence came from, hang on one second. I think it's, yeah, it's this one. This is S61 because we jumped. Let me show you that. We jumped from 59 to 61. As you can see right here in the middle. So this next one is a few files, and the first one that I opened was the medic first aid sheets for the level of training and education that Chris Watts held in regards to CPR and helping to save someone's life. And there you can see his name written there, Chris Watts. And, you know, he had sincere education of what to do, and yet he didn't use any of that to help his daughters. Chest compressions, removing contaminated gloves, rescue breaths, primary assessments, single provider CPR, primary assessment responsive, control of bleeding, swollen, painful, deformed limb, spinal motion restriction. Chris Watts has check marks all the way across that. So he knew how to help his girls. He chose not to, which, you know, again, begs the question of why did you even bother? Like, you know how he said at one point, could I have saved my little girls? Like, from what? If, especially because the guy can't even figure out how exactly they died. I gather that he doesn't know that the coroner actually marked down that no fibers or anything were even found in either girl's mouth, throat, or lungs. And like I was mentioning and talking about this with a viewer, saying there's no way that Chris Watts was like Houdini and he was able to clear out both of their mouths and throats and tongues from any microscopic type, you know, threads and fibers. So, you know, in all honesty, like, I just don't believe him. I don't think he knows how the girls died, and it really shows. That's, you know, when he was correcting the officers and saying, no, I put the blanket first, right? It's just absolutely ridiculous that he's correcting the officers, can't get the facts straight, and, you know, he's got his story wrong. There's no way the coroner missed microscopic fibers. There's no way. All right. The guy is trained. But Chris Watts is just a bold-faced liar and clearly seems to be protecting somebody. I wanted to pop in because I haven't said hello to anybody yet. So if you all are still here, Kara, First Last, Blood 1987 from Denver, Colorado, right on. David, yay! All things Wendy Lee, welcome. Lee G, hello. I think Detective Halverson is talking about CBI and Frederick, you know, Police Department, and how they could pick and choose what they're going to release. But that's the clause in the release of the public information, is that, yeah, it makes it look like they're going to release it all, that everything that they did. Meanwhile, they're actually just going to release what they feel is appropriate and okay to release. Send us around on a wild goose chase, I guess. So this particular file was at 3:15 a.m. and I wanted to just kind of open these in order to see what the one at 5:17 a.m. was, and we'll open these together. So first aid again. Where is... Interesting. So this was class skill record for basic plus CPR, first aid for adults, but I don't see Chris Watts anywhere on here. Again, completely useless information that was released to the public to make it look like they're freaking being honest. Like, come on. It makes you look dishonest when you pick and choose what you're releasing instead of just releasing to the public. I mean, I get not releasing like the actual photos of the deceased victims. I totally understand that, but I don't understand releasing duplicate information that really had nothing to do with nothing, and information about other people. You know, some of the liars that came out of the woodworks in this case, they have decided to release that, but wouldn't release other findings and evidence. None of it makes sense to me. And again, I don't see Chris Watts' name anywhere on here. Excuse me. All right, so that was the 3:15 p.m. There's a 5:17 p.m. There's a 5:17 a.m. too. But again, like, all this is just duplicate information to fill up space. Could it be that something else was here before? Oh, there's Chris Watts' name. All of a sudden, on the same Raymond Gibson paper. Again, duplicate information. Like, we already saw that in the 3:17 a.m. or 3:15 a.m. That's exactly what this sheet is. Look, it's just a crock of shit to be fooled and treated like a fool. Like, you're not important enough to know what they know. You're not important enough to get the information that they have. You have no right to figure out what the actual story is here. That's basically the message that I feel I get from Weld County. Because this is just a whole bunch of shit. It's nothing. Pardon my French, but it's super frustrating to read about basic CPR crap when we're trying to figure out what the hell happened to 4 people who were murdered. But let's just look in and divulge to the public about CPR courses and crap like this. Again, it's just super frustrating. Whatever. Their choice, I guess, right? So that was 61. We're going to see what's in 62. We literally have a handful of these left, and I cannot be, I'm honestly going to be elated when we're finished with this shit, because I feel like it's just been one big fat rat race where everybody's trying to figure out what pieces of the damn puzzle are missing in order to figure out what the frick happened. And it's so frustrating. Like, heaven forbid that something like this happens to one of their loved ones or somebody that they're close to. Are they going to be happy with this kind of treatment and this kind of process? Would this be sufficient for them? I highly doubt it. I highly doubt it. But whatever. I'm actually going to be really glad when we're not talking about this so much anymore, because it just gets me all riled up. Like, it's frustrating to see, even though we did an application to get the public information, that we really got nothing. We got a bunch of repeat stuff, and we are missing so many pieces to the puzzle. You're left to guess, and we're on this wild goose chase trying to guess and figure out what the hell we're missing. And it's just so frustrating. I just can't even figure out how to wrap my mind around all of this crap. Detective Halverson, why don't you tell us? I mean, I would love to hear your perspective on the investigation process, on your own experiences. Why is it that instead of getting the actual evidence and things to figure out what happened, that we end up getting bits and pieces to some things that doesn't even help you fit the story together. Why do they do that? I love Scott Reich. He's amazing. I love him because he's an actual criminal practicing lawyer. That's what I love about him. Bella's Daddy is a Hero song. But yeah, I'm such an emotional person that when my heart gets into certain things, and I had been involved with this case since day one of it happening, you know, it was nothing short of heartbreaking. And it really grabbed on to me. I can honestly admit that I've cried like half a dozen times or more about this case, reading the details and hearing what happened. What the heck is this? Hang on, I can hear something really loud.
Let me start off with just asking, how you guys doing? Well, it's up and down.
I feel still, bad for this couple.
Kind of confused and kind of feel.
It's like I feel like I can pick up my phone and call Shanann and talk about how sad I am, and it just doesn't. It doesn't feel real.
Last time we talked about they were more than friends. At this point, they were like family.
Yeah.
Yeah, at times they were.
Yeah.
It's just it's still just not real. Like seeing the press conferences and stuff like that. It almost seems removed. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, the person they're talking about isn't somebody we know.
Right.
Yeah.
To be honest, different.
Isn't it kind of somebody you didn't know? Right. That's what we learned. We thought we knew him. Didn't think he was ever capable of doing anything like this. There was no, at any of our times of hanging out, there was no signs of that he was ever capable of doing something like this. And I think Amanda and I latched onto that, and that's why we were kind of there for him. And it's just we couldn't see that to be a possibility. Last time I talked to you guys, you were really leading search efforts online. You were doing everything you can to find Shanann and her daughters. What was it like for you? And first to set out.
Honestly, I didn't believe it. You hear all the time that news is wrong. They don't have the correct information, and it wasn't until the detective called me, right as the conference was going on, and asked me to come pick up Dieter, that it hit. And then I just broke down from there. So.
Yeah. What's the dog's name?
Dieter.
What kind of dog?
He's a little wiener dog, little Dachshund, I guess. Super cute, very friendly. He loves to give kisses.
Why did they ask you guys to take the dog? So I'm not sure. I know Amanda reached out last night because we were concerned. Obviously, Chris is still at the police station. He was at our house all night last night. That dog needs cared for. So Amanda just reached out and said, "Hey, is somebody doing this, or can we go get them?" But that was just a voicemail. When I spoke to Shanann's mom this morning, she told me that she told the FBI to call us to get them. So I'm not sure, really. what drove it. Somewhere they got our name to say, hey, come, the family's trusting you, I guess, to care for their dog.
Aside from the dog, you didn't just let the dog into your house, you let Chris into your house too.
Yeah.
After the fact of everything happened, you have a little girl that fell at Celeste's age. In hindsight, what's going through your mind?
That
Regret.
I mean, that's something I'll never forget, that we allowed this guy in our house. I mean, had we had any inclination that we thought he was involved at all, no way would I have let him in my house with my wife and kid. So
He slept right across the hall from her.
right, I mean, she came in that morning and saw, it was like, I saw Mr. Chris, because I mean, their doors are right by each other. And so that, I'm never going to forget. It's just a haunting memory now at this point. Like, yeah, no way did we know he could have been capable of something like this. I mean,
On the phone, Amanda, you told me repeatedly, or you told me that you kept replaying the conversation from the past few days over and over in your head. Why are you doing that?
Honestly, I'm just beating myself up about it. Like, oh, he said this or he said that. Like, I should have known that was a flag, but
was it a flag? Or you know what I mean? Like, questioning just every little thing that we did with him. Yeah.
What were those conversations, if you don't mind me asking? What were some of the things you are questioning? Was that a sign?
Well, there's a few things that we talked to the detective about. We're not sure if it's a part of the investigation, so that's...
We don't want to get too specific.
Yeah, we don't want to get into that. But, I mean, just little things here and there, like watching him on his phone and pacing the house and eating the pizza even. Like, he showed zero remorse. Like, there was no doubt in our minds that he was innocent.
Yeah, I mean, while we were with Chris on Monday and Tuesday, I was just trying to come up with any sort of idea of, like, what about this? What about, you know what I mean? Just trying to think through everything. And through those just little things, a few things came out that we thought, well, that's weird that you're not wanting to look more into that. That seems like big deals. And as soon as we left the house, we called the detective. And we're just like, we don't know if this is something. It might be something, but we feel like we need to say something. I mean, again, it was a voicemail. We didn't talk to anybody. So, I mean...
I did speak to the FBI about it.
Yeah, I did,
he interviewed me, too,
so
just to make sure they were aware.
Yep, same here.
Something that's come up for me, I don't know if it's come up for you. Do you have a hard time trusting people right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've talked about that quite a bit. Just you kind of lose faith in humanity, like not wanting to be close to anybody. Has been really hard. I mean, we thought we knew him, and obviously we didn't.
When you go online though and you look at their pictures, that's what we kind of did with Shan's Facebook page. They look very in love. They seem like a very in love kind of couple, at least on social media. Is that what you saw in real life too, or did you see anything else?
No, that's exactly how they were around us. I mean, it was always hands all over, one another, and it was always fun, laughing. So yeah, I mean, there was not once when we hung out with them was it like, you know what I mean? There was nothing.
No aggression, no anger, no like snarky side comments, nothing like that. Like, it was just was fun and easy.
Lighthearted. I mean, like even if Chris did something a little like prepare something for food wrong, it was more like poke fun at him. Like,
Right.
It was never. I mean, they just seemed, like a happy couple.
You know, it's weird as I find myself smiling and laughing. I thought about your memories.
Yeah.
The person you thought you knew way back when. It's you that is still Chris. That's this person out here that's now that we know and see in the news. That's not the Chris you know.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it seems like it's two completely different people at this point. Like, yeah. It's just hard, like just being with him and seeing how he was, like he never once like broke down crying or like I just feel, I don't know, like it's just weird. Like I feel like if we had went out to his house and he turned us away and shut us out, then we'd been like, oh, this is weird. But he welcomed us in just like normal. Like it was another day with Chris. I mean, just on his phone trying to figure out what to do and just trying to manage conversations through everyone out of town, and everything was normal other than him being you could tell he was obviously, it seemed like
he seemed distressed.
Yeah.
But, I mean, obviously it was guilt
Maybe, yeah.
instead of worry.
Did they never talk to you guys about maybe marital problems or anything like that, or like, hey, we had this argument, or?
I mean, Shanann and I spoke very frequently, and we discussed things about their marriage, and I discussed things about our marriage. Like it was just the normal, married couple
ups and
downs that we have. It was never anything where I thought she was scared or terrified, or no matter what she said, she just talked about how much she loved him and how he was her rock.
So obviously a lot of information is coming out about Chris and sometimes Shanann now. We learned that back in 2015 they filed for bankruptcy. Did you guys know that? Did y'all talk financial stuff?
I mean, I was never a part of anything.
Shanann and I had discussed it, but it was never, I mean, it was so long ago that, it was like she would bring it up that we had to file bankruptcy and all of that other stuff, but it kind of ended there. It wasn't like currently we're having problems.
We heard from I believe it was a family member back in North Carolina that told us that Shanann had. Did you guys ever hear, or did you know that?
Yeah.
She did have.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something she struggled with for a while, but since we've met her, it's mostly been under control.
Yeah, she had her rough days for sure, just with any health condition, but for the most part, she really had it under control, and she was thriving in her life. She wasn't down on herself saying, "Hey, I have this illness in my life. I'm gonna moan and groan about it." She was like, "I want to live my life to the fullest," and that's exactly what she did.
And then she worked for something called Thrive.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
I'll pretend that wasn't a shameless plug.
Yeah.
I know that recently, speaking of Thrive, Chris has started using Patrick supplement, right? He actually lost quite a bit of weight with it.
Yeah.
Did you guys notice any changes in personality after he started doing that?
No, I mean, by the time we kind of met with Chris, he was already pretty well into his he was already lost a bunch of the weight, you know what I mean? So, I mean, we never saw him in his bigger days, you know what I mean? So for us, I mean, it was always Chris. I mean, there was nothing, it was always him.
He did. He lost a little bit of weight. Well, a lot of bit of weight after we met him, just because him and Nick started running together and all of that stuff. But that was, I don't know.
Next question, I'm not gonna lie. The question I don't want to ask is something I have to. They never talk to you guys about like relationship troubles. None of them were having an affair or living a mistress or anything like that.
Not to, I mean, Chris and I never talked about that kind of stuff anyway, so.
Shanann had jokingly mentioned it, but honestly, she wasn't worried. But you know, when your husband doesn't answer your text messages as a woman, your thought process just goes to the wrong things. So
That's what happens. Sometimes she texts me, wouldn't text back.
I mean, that's just an example of something, you know. But that was pretty much the extent of what we were doing, of what she talked about. No, it was never a serious concern of hers.
Amanda, this next one for you, kind of specifically because I've been following you on Facebook and you posted a lot of really cute pictures of you and the girls or videos of the girls. That's kind of the way you're breathing is just going through pictures and
Yeah. So many good times with him. God, her daughter just loved them so much. I guess that's my way of grieving.
hey, get out from behind that, brother. Try to take pictures. Come on. Come this way. You're welcome. Well, dude, how's it going? Good.
Have a good day.
Dude, you're better than I am. I can do that. I don't know if I can ride a bike anymore. No. Enjoy your day, man.
I'm sure you guys get that a lot. No.
We chose a park.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, so you're going through, all these pictures.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so funny because like I didn't know. If I just saw this for the first time, I might think they were your kids.
Yeah. I mean, they did look a lot like Amelie. The blonde hair, and just beautiful. But yeah, we spent a lot of time together. It was a short amount of time that we knew them, but it was amazing.
Speaking of the daughter, this is really one of my last few questions I have. She's gonna have to learn.
I know. We have no idea. Like, I just looked at, like, while I was giving her a bath this morning and taking her to school, I just kept looking at her like, how do I tell you that your best friend's gone? Like, I don't know. Like, she knows, like, we talked to her a little bit, like, Miss Shanann and the girls, they're people are looking for them. We can't find them. So she kind of knows a little bit about that, but I have no idea. Like, I don't know.
Okay, right now, I think we're just really focused on processing it ourselves. But I mean, our faces are all over the community, and somebody's going to tell her, and she needs to hear it from us. So,
yeah.
Well, that's a good question. We don't know.
Yeah, we don't.
She's 5.
She's 5.
I mean, how do you explain to a 5-year-old about any death, let alone somebody she knows and loves and
asks about all the time?
Yeah.
My last question. The way I described it when I was trying to explain, because you understand this is a gut punch.
Yeah.
They didn't just lose a friend. They found out their other friend would be responsible.
Yeah.
Is it just like that? I mean, how much worse does that make lost Shanann, we lost these four girls, and then
I mean, Shanann and the girls are the hardest part of it all. I mean, we really thought Monday night when we kind of learned about all this going on and we were with Chris, we kind of thought, we'll see her tomorrow. We're going to be with the girls tomorrow. So that, I guess I haven't even processed the idea of like our friendship with Chris is no longer.
He's kind of like a side thought, I guess. Like I see his picture on Facebook and I just get really mad.
Especially his like mugshot. Like even in that, he doesn't seem sad. You know what I mean? I'm looking from the outside in, but just seeing his mugshot, and I'm just like, who are you? Like, that's not the Chris we thought we knew. And
Shanann and those girls and baby Nico just.
we found that out from Shanann's brother. He posted a Facebook post, and I guess that
They're
was
having a little boy.
yeah.
no sleep.
And then
You think you'll ever sleep again?
I'm sure it'll come, but right now it's rough. It's kind of hard for me to be in our house knowing he was there, knowing, you know what I mean? Like we weren't shy that we were kind of there with Chris trying to be some sort of support for him, just thinking, in our mind, we had no reason to believe that he could do anything, so that's why we were there for him. Man, bluntly, I just feel so stupid and so betrayed. It's just unreal. Like,
We even offered our house to him when we weren't there.
yeah, like he when he left to go pick up his dad from the airport, I gave him our garage code and was just like, you guys are welcome here if you need a place to be. We had no idea that what he had done or
Yeah, they were gonna come over and spend the weekend with Amelie. I was excited to. That would have been Amelie's first sleepover.
If you're not sleeping, what are you
laying there.
Yeah, thinking.
That's what I'm doing. Just kind of like what Amanda was saying, kind of going back through the past few days with Chris and think like, were there things that he was doing that we should have been more apparent of? But we just thought we were doing the right thing by being by his side because we knew kind of no one else was going to be, and at the time for no kind of good reason. So
I think I got everything. I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
That I think we got everything.
Okay.
I don't want.
the biggest, we contemplated a lot this morning because we knew we were going to get kind of bombarded with calls from media, and we contemplated not doing it, but then we were just like, really, we want people to know. We honestly had no idea, and when I talked to Shanann's mom this morning, I apologized. I'm so sorry, like, we didn't know, like, we thought we were doing the right thing, and I'm so sorry that for the perspective you have of us now, like, and the best thing that came out of it was, I don't know if it was, I think I was on speakerphone, so it was either her or somebody else, and they were like, we get it, and we don't hold it against you. That was a really big relief, knowing, as of right now, I don't know, that's all I can do is say we're sorry that we defended him on social media. We really had no idea that he was capable of doing such, like, I hate it. I hate all of this.
You guys are bad people. Not at all. Not at all what I can tell. And I'm getting better at that. So you did talk to the family though?
So Shanann's mom called me this morning to make sure we had Dieter, and to make sure she wanted our word that we were going to take good care of him, because Dieter's the last thing they have, and they want to take him home. And so I did. He's part of our family right now. He's going to be taken care of, and I told her, like, at any point if they come out, they want to see Dieter, like, let us know. We'll drop everything. We'll come get him, like, whatever they need. But that's when I decided, like, I need to apologize. Like, I can't imagine what you think of Amanda and I, and I'm so sorry. So.
Just know how much we loved Shanann and Bella and Cece. They were family. They spent Thanksgivings with us and 4th of July's and all the holidays.
Yeah.
It's unreal.
May I ask you a question?
Sure.
I suppose how sometimes you speak with me.
No, yeah.
That's okay.
3 questions I had were, when he lost weight, did you see any change in confidence levels? Like, feel better about himself? You can look into it.
No, I mean, the only kind of difference I saw change in confidence was with his running ability. I had been running for quite a bit more time than he was, and he was just getting into it. So, I would text him, hey, I'm going to go for a 7-mile run. And then he, after that, he would be like, yeah, I just ran 7 miles. Or, yeah, I mean that, but not like personality, like out in the world. You know what I mean? It didn't seem like he was, that part didn't change. It was always shy Chris.
And then as a woman, when we've heard the news, like she said, I was a reporter and I was like, my fear is I'm going to marry a guy like that, So my question as an outsider is, when you see them together, are you like, oh, couple goals, relationship goals, and do you like get that vibe and you get that now?
For sure.
They were so happy. They went on getaways all the time. Just them two alone together. They, like Nick mentioned before, they were always hugging or holding hands or kissing, and they had the perfect family.
It seemed.
Obviously not.
My last question, the first thing I want to know is, do you think that baby Nico was planned?
He was, actually. Nick and I had been talking about having a second child for quite some time, and Shan she was always, on our side, pressuring Nick, and just really supportive of it. And then Shanann and I were going to get our nails done or something one day, and she told me that Chris that night before told her he wanted another child, and she was all on board, and we talked about being pregnant together and going through all the ups and downs of pregnancy, having our babies be best friends. So yes, her pregnancy was planned.
You can just give a one-word answer on this next one. Just about what we see on social media, because
I know.
But a big question is, was the baby his?
Yes, 100%. There's no doubt about it.
Sorry to ask that.
No,
We get it. I mean, so much stuff comes out on social media. I mean, apparently Amanda was having an affair with Chris. We learned that today on social media.
Yeah, I learned
Like,
that
come
today.
on, like, so we get it. Like,
Rumors go around, but they're not true. I should have known she didn't take her phone with her.
that should have been it. Always. We
I
would.
have so many pictures of her on her phone.
We would spend.
You can tell the interview is cut right there, so it was clipped out. We didn't get to see all of that where she went into the talk of the cell phone.
I mean, a lot of our weekend nights at their house, having dinner and stuff, playing Uno, and every time it came to Shenan's turn, we'd be like, "Hey, pay attention!" Like,
right, it's your turn.
It's
Let's
your turn.
go.
Let's go.
You have a social media voice like Insta or Facebook? Or...
Facebook.
Yeah, Facebook. Sure. I mean, her whole business ran through social media. So I mean, that's what she was doing.
I'm just jumping on this story. Did we talk about yesterday about her personality and like the awesome things about her?
We talked a little bit about the girls for sure. I can't remember if we talked about Shenan though. But I mean, Shenan. She was a leader, and she was always there to help. Give my wife advice whenever. Just randomly text, "I love you. Hope you're having a good day." She was a people person, and people were drawn to her. And I think that's why. We say we're close friends with her, but we're not the only close friends to her. She has close friends all over the state, because everyone feels this really drawn bond with her because of who she is. She loves people and loves helping people, and she just wanted the best. And if she could somehow give advice on how to do it, or even be there helping us do it, she was there. So.
She was amazing. There's nobody in the world like Shenan Locke.
I think we all know that. Okay, what else do we have in this file here? Communication speech. We know that Daddy is a hero. Let's not. I've already cried. I don't want to start crying again.
My name is Chris Watts. I'm doing my communication speech for Brenda Armentrout, and welcome to Brunfield, Colorado. About 70 degrees, and it's awesome outside, so welcome. I'm doing my speech on relationship deterioration and repair, and this is my PowerPoint. Deterioration. The relationship begins to fall apart, crumble, or fail. You have weakening bonds. You get bored of the everyday routine, and you get distractions such as work, hobbies, relationships, no matter how harmless, even at the job. You might meet a new person, and it could strengthen into something else. It could weaken the bond you have with the partner you have. You spend less time with each other, and sometimes you have no time to maintain the relationship. Sometimes in a relationship, you maybe make promises that can turn into a major betrayal, or minor arguments that could turn into things where you can say spiteful comments, which turn into bigger problems. The first phase of deterioration is interpersonal dissatisfaction, which is when you become unhappy with all the everyday interactions with you and your partner. You also begin to view your future with your partner as a negative future. And the second phase is interpersonal deterioration, which you start to grow farther and farther apart. You share less of your free time with each other. You have more awkward silences at dinner, or when you're just out by yourself, you don't talk at all. You disclose less of your feelings, and you show less affection toward each other. When you have good communication, you show more nonverbal communication, which is majority of the messages we send, like through gestures, facial expressions, eye contact, the tone of your voice. And there's many types of forms of communication these days, and it's the most successful groundwork for communicating for relationships. A few quotes that I've done research on from Elaine Schimberg: all relationships problems stem from poor communication skills, which is very true. And another quote from Schimberg and Sorja: you can't communicate while you're checking your BlackBerry, watching TV, or flipping through sports section, which is very true. With technology nowadays, you'll be on your iPhone, your BlackBerry, at a restaurant, and you'll see two people at a table, and you'll see both of them on their phones, either Facebook comment status or maybe playing a game. There's no communication at all. Commitment is the degree of commitment affects your relationship. According to Hirofumi, not surprisingly, commitment is especially strong when individuals are satisfied with their relationship and grows weaker as individuals become less satisfied. You have to ask yourself 3 questions when you're in a relationship. Do I have a desire to keep this relationship going? Do I have a moral obligation to stay in this relationship? Or is it a necessity for me to stay in this relationship? According to our research, sometimes a necessity could be children. Sometimes when you have children and your relationship starts to deteriorate, a child could help repair it. All relationships are held together in part by a form of commitment, either based on desire, obligation, or necessity. And when the commitment is strong enough to hold the relationship together, you avoid arguing about minor disagreements and you support one another. When commitment is weak, the relationship is full of doubt and the relationship deteriorates faster. You have 2 types of deterioration. You have sudden and you have gradual. Sudden would be an example of infidelity. When somebody is not faithful to the partners realize that the relationship cannot be sustained. Gradual would be if you met somebody at work or a new friendship has occurred and as it goes on, you see that, okay, maybe this relationship has more potential than the relationship I have with my partner. And that will gradually push the old relationship out and push the new relationship in. Reasons relationships start to fall apart. Sometimes you no longer find your partner attractive, physically or in their personality. When you're in a relationship, you have to show desire, lust towards your partner. Sometimes when you get married, that the lust and the desire kind of falls by the wayside a little bit. But if you want your relationship to keep going, I would suggest maybe go to a place where you first met, or go bungee jumping, go somewhere that will bring the excitement back. You no longer experience closeness, or when your differences become more important than similarities, you just pick apart your partner. And you don't see anything that you have in common anymore. You just see something he or she does, and it just gets on your nerves, and you just can't let that go. And you feel you might do better with someone else that you've met. You think that you can no longer that your partner is someone that you can't be with. When you feel you're putting more into the relationship than you are getting out. According to Bloomstein and Schwartz, when a relationship breaks up, it's generally the more attractive one that leaves, which I agree with somewhat and then I disagree with. When in repair, the safety is not always pursued. Sometimes people, when the relationship starts to dissolve, repair is not an option and they want to get away and start new. When you want to go into repair, you need to analyze what went wrong and consider what ways of solving the problems. You need to consider changing your behavior or perhaps changing your expectations for your partner. And you might also want to evaluate how you could feel in the relationship if it had ended. One of the first stages of repair you need to recognize, identify the problem. What changes you need to make the relationship better. Avoid words like always and never. If you say this to your partner, it just makes the relationship makes it backtrack. You'll never get to the repair stage. You need to take responsibility for your feelings, not blame your partner. And you need to be descriptive when discussing grievances. Resolution and conflict resolution. You need to look closely for relational messages that will help clarify motivations and needs. Exchange perspectives and see the situation as your partner does. You need to own your own feelings and thoughts. Use active listening techniques. Listen to your partner. Make sure they feel wanted. Make sure that they know that you're there and not in space somewhere thinking about the baseball game that's coming up or the football game that's coming up, which I sometimes do. Think clearly before saying things you may later forget. Don't just blurt out something. Just think about it. Don't just, if something comes to your mind, then it might be wrong. I do that too. And keep channels of communication open. Always disclose your feelings. Don't keep things bottled up because it will later come back to bite you.
It sure did, didn't it, Chris?
Discuss solutions that both you and your partner don't have a win-lose solution. The win-lose solution, sometimes when somebody loses, you'll have hostility and you'll have resentment. Sometimes they may not show it, but they will be thinking it. Need to affirm each other. Support each other, positive evaluations, positive feelings. Always disclose your feelings, as I said. And cherish the gestures. It's a smile, a wink, a kiss, maybe just a hug, anything at all. Solutions into normal behavior. Say you're sorry. Sometimes it takes a lot to admit that just to say you're sorry, but it helps. Risk rejection by making the first move. Be willing to change, to adapt, to take a new task and responsibility. And in conclusion, I'd say that relationships are hard, but they're worth it in the end. And as the Swedish proverb says, a double joy is a shared joy, and a double sorrow is not a shared sorrow. Thank you.
Interesting, right, folks? Anybody else feel like he was kind of premonitioning like his own relationship falling apart, meeting somebody at work, all this blah, blah, blah? Oh, boy. All right, folks, I think we're going to drop it for tonight now. I really appreciate everybody popping in to visit and listen to the speech that the neighbors gave in regards to just not understanding, what exactly all happened and letting this man into their home. I really don't feel like they're guilty of anything, other than just being kind people. So hello, April. Hello, James Haas. Hello. Did I miss anybody up here? Yvette, hello. Salut, ma belle. I really wish that we would have gotten an answer from Detective Halverson as to my question, but regardless, I sincerely appreciate all of y'all joining in. I feel like this case is just never going to leave my psyche. I feel like, my heart was grasped by Shanann and the girls, and I just, can't even wrap my head around what, mentality was going on between Chris and Nicole, but sounds like he sort of already knew what to do and what not to do in relationships, but yet he chose to do the unthinkable and have harsh conversations about taking out his family, because I don't believe that they never talked about it. There's no way that two people spend that much time together, having sex that many times a day together, and they don't actually talk about the things that are bothering them. And by that, I mean, it bothered Nicole that she didn't have Chris all to herself and that she wasn't his number one. and then with Chris, like he turned away from his relationship and stopped communicating and stopped trying and stopped desiring and all the things that he says you're supposed to do. He just doesn't even pay attention to, and he just turns away from his marriage. And there's no way that they just didn't talk about it. I honestly feel like this was discussed and planned, and it might not have fully been planned because of you can see that in the execution, right? But there was certainly a lot of things that were ironed out. So, but I definitely appreciate all of y'all joining in. And hey, if you enjoyed the live, give it a like. It helps the YouTube algorithms to show my videos to more people, and I would appreciate it. And if you're new to the channel, well, hey, hit that subscribe button. We have a lot of interactive conversations here, not just about the Chris Watts case. We cover a lot of different cases, a lot of true stories, missing people, natural disasters, survivors, all types of true stories. So if you enjoy that, please share the channel with your friends and family. I really, really would appreciate. The more the merrier. Thank you, everybody, for the likes. Thank you for the online love and support. And if you're somebody who doesn't want to miss a thing, please hit that notification bell and select the option that works best for you. I have a lot more online work I need to get done before the end of my day. Back to work for me tomorrow. And I will see you all again soon for another true story with me, Sherry Wiens. I hope you guys have a great night, and we'll see you guys again Sunday, 1 p.m. Central Time, face-to-face live, and then we'll be back on Wednesday at 6 p.m. for our final live Wednesday at 6 p.m. If you haven't hit up the community tab page yet to vote on what time works best for you, we're going to be amending the Wednesday shows to begin either in the morning or later on in the evening. So please hit up the community tab page and definitely vote for what time works best for you. And I'll see you guys again. Much love. Detective Halverson. Hard to explain in a live chat. Well, I'm surprised you didn't try at all, though. I would have thought you would have attempted some type of answers to that, especially if you're in the industry yourself. But no peer pressure. Don't want to sit here in silence, but definitely wanted to know your take on why, and what the reasoning would be to pick and choose bits and pieces and let everybody run around like chickens with their heads cut off, guessing and trying to figure out what the hell really happened, when in reality, they know already what happened. Is it because they couldn't release it all to us? Because we would absolutely, without a doubt, 100% figure out that someone else was involved, and then that would upset the public and they didn't want to do that? Or like, what's the reason for giving up a bunch of information that really had nothing to do with the case? Might have been some of the legwork that they had to go through because other liars and thieves and ridiculousness came out of the woodworks, right? But why release that to the public as though they're being honest, quote unquote, when really it just looks like they're trying to cover up the truth and what they really know? But yeah, I was more talking about the detective end of it and the investigative end of it and the police work end of it, the end of it that you have some experience in from our conversations with your history, unless you're just kind of like an online detective, but you're not really a detective in any precinct of any investigative field. I don't know, but it's, I had thought that you were in the same industry, and that's why I was asking you specifically. Yeah, well, it definitely seems like there's something shady going on when we're just given all these random bits and pieces and we don't even have like the meat and potatoes to figure out what exactly happened. And the fact that Chris Watts can't get the facts straight out of his mind, he doesn't even know how his girls died. It's just odd, We're not going to be discussing the case for too much longer, though. That's why I was sort of hoping to get your take on the detective side of things. But like I said, I don't actually know if you are fully a detective in some precinct, in some investigative field. You could very well just have given yourself that name and you're just sort of an online type detective that enjoys doing some digging and research. I don't know. But I had thought by asking you direct that you'd be able to give us some answers as to why things like this happen. The fact that you haven't given me any answers is kind of making me lean towards maybe she isn't even she's not even a real detective. And that's why she can't answer this question, So I don't know. The whole case smells. I could totally agree with you, James Haas. Like, really unfortunate that they have to make it look like they're releasing this public information. Meanwhile, they're picking and choosing what's released, and none of it's even of serious importance. And the stuff that is all jumbled up together, and you got duplicates of the same information, and just seems like a big rat race, No, you're not in the industry. That's exactly what I was thinking, is maybe you had just given yourself that name because you're into research and digging into little things here and there and not really an actual detective, which is kind of disappointing because I was sort of hoping you might have some answers, but well, I guess I had my hunch correct. Anyway, I hope you guys all have a great rest of your night. It's TGIS. Thank goodness it's Sherry. And I will see you guys again on Sunday for our face-to-face hangout. I hope to see all of y'all and so many more. Bye for now, folks.